Hey friends, I'm back with another shirt, except this time it's a Christmas tree and it's super easy to make and I'm going to show you how to make it. This video is going to be broken up into several parts because TikTok does not like the long form videos. If you want to watch the long form video without parts, you can head on over to my YouTube channel. I'm Simply Sissa and watch the entire thing there. You can watch the entire thing here too, it's just going to be in parts. So let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about the things you're going to need for this shirt. You're obviously going to need a shirt. I got mine at the Hobby Lobby for $4.27 with 20% off. You're going to need some paper. I got 2 pieces of copy paper. Any paper will do. You're going to need tape because you're going to have to tape, well, mine I had to tape together to make a bigger piece of paper. You're going to need a ruler and a pencil to draw out your pattern. You're going to need some scissors to cut your pattern out and or a pair of nippers, or you could use the scissors to cut the edges on your fabric here to rag it up. And you're going to need a heat marker pen or some type of pen that will draw around fabric that won't leave a mark. Not a pencil, not a pen. Those things won't come out. So I bought this in the fabric section at Walmart. It comes in a 2-pack of a black and a white pen. This is the black pen, and that's what I'm going to use to draw on the fabric with. So, and then obviously you're going to need your sewing machine. So those are the basic things you're going to need to make the shirt. Okay, so you're going to need 2 pieces of paper. This is just regular copy paper. And you're going to need to tape them together like portrait style. And I've already done that here, but that's what you're going to need to do. Turn them where they're long ways. So here's my middle, my taped middle, and I've turned them where they're long ways, okay? So the first thing that you're going to do is fold your paper in half and crease it. Then you're going to take your ruler and you're going to measure down like 12 inches on your page and just make a mark and go ahead and make a line there. Just all the way across, and just go ahead and cut that part off. So you're going to mark, you're going to line your ruler up with the 0 at the top of the page, and you're going to mark down a 1/2 inch. And then you're also going to mark 10 3/4. Now on this 10 3/4 line, you're going to go ahead and you can draw a straight line across. And you're going to make a mark at 5 inches from the middle to the left and 5 inches from the middle to the right. You're going to make a mark there. But you connect it from the top here. You're just going to draw straight down. And the same thing on this side. You're just going to draw straight down and connect those lines. Now you're going to draw 1/4 inch down through there because that's where you're going to cut it and make it rag up. And then you're going to cut this outer part here. And that's what it should look like. From one of the scrap pieces of paper, I cut a rectangle that is 4 inches by 3 inches. And then the inside, of course, is like 3 inches by 2 1/4. But anyway, I just drew a rectangle and then drew the inside part of it. And this will be our tree trunk. So now this is the piece we cut and you can see the half. I'm only going to use the top half or the lower half, whichever. You can cut it off, but I'm actually just going to fold mine in half. Okay. And now you want your bow part 2 1/4. So I'm just going to make a little mark there, and I'm just going to draw a line just to kind of give me an idea of where I want my bow, okay? And then I'm going to fold my paper in half just so I can kind of mark the center, just so I'll know what I'm working with here. And again, I'll draw my line. And then I'm just going to start in the middle, and I'm just going to, kind of make a circle. That looks about good to me for reference. It's about an inch circle, okay? And then I'm going to go from this part of the bow, and I'm just going to kind of go up here, and I'm just going to draw a line like that. So I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm just going to kind of go up like that. It's not going to be perfect. Now, if you want to, you can do the inside of your bow and cut it out. I'm not going to do that on this one. Okay, so now it's time to draw our tails. And I'm just going to kind of start in between the middle of this and this. I'm just going to start in the middle there. And I'm just going to curve it out like this towards the end of the paper. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Make it like that. Now I'm going to go back in. I'm going to fill it in on both sides. Just kind of mirror what I just did. If you want thicker bow tails, you can kind of do it a little on the other side. It's your shirt, whatever you want to do. And now I'm going to draw some extra around this, just on the sides there. I can use that as extra if I want to. Because, I don't want it to be huge or anything like that. If you want yours bigger, you can make it like that. Then you're going to cut it out. So you're going to need the piece for like the tree skirt. You're going to need the front fabric. You're going to need a piece of batting. You're going to need a back fabric. So here's what I'm going to do. I've cut all my pieces out. Okay. And I'm going to use some spray adhesive. And I have this. And I'm just going to spray the back piece down. The batting in the middle. You're just going to make a sandwich and spray all of those down together. Okay, so now that I have put all of these pieces together, I'm going to take my pattern and I'm just going to draw around it, and then I'm just going to cut it out. And I'm going to do the same thing for my Christmas tree here. Just going to draw my pattern on it, and I'm going to cut it out. Now, this bow is going to be just a little bit different because we don't want to cut it out just yet. Because if you try to cut this out and then go and take it to your sewing machine and sew around it, you're going to wish that you had never done that. And we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to sew on the inside of our bow. So you can just kind of draw you a little line about where you're going to sew on the inside of this. And then here you're just going to sew down the middle right there. That's all you're going to do. You're not going to cut this out. You're going to sew this one first. Okay, so here we are at the sewing machine with the bow, and I'm just going to pick a spot. Remember, you're sewing on that inside line, and you're just going to start. Is it going to be perfect? No. Do we care? No. I mean, we don't want it to be a disaster, but we're not trying to win any awards here, okay? So we're just picking up our, making sure our needle's down and our pressure foot's down when we pick it up and lift it up to move it around. Okay, and look. See, did I stay on the line? Absolutely not. Okay, now I'm going to go down this line. Right here in the middle, just going to line up my stuff, and I'm going to back stitch a little bit, and then I'm just going to go straight down the line, and then when I get down here, I'm going to back stitch, then I'm going to do this side. Okay, so here's my bow. You can see now I've cut it out. So now the tree, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to sew like a 1/2 inch on the inside of this, okay? So the presser foot is just a tad bit smaller than a regular presser foot on a regular machine. So I'm just leaving a little bit out. I mean, it doesn't matter. As long as you leave some out on the edge so that you can snip it, it should be fine. Little trunk, I'm just going to start in. Leave a little edge on that fabric there. Back stitch. Okay, so here's my tree trunk. You can see it's not perfect, but it doesn't really matter. And there's some of the spray on it that I got a little too much on, but it's going to be fine. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to care. Now here comes the hard part. You're going to need a good pair of snips, sharp scissors. You can use regular scissors, but they need to be sharp. Okay, I'm going to start with this bow first so you'll know what I'm talking about. On the legs of this bow, you're going to snip almost up to the stitches, but don't snip the stitches. If you do, it's okay. You can always go back and take it to your sewing machine and put another stitch in there, okay? On both sides of your legs of your bow. We'll do the same thing here. And the same thing with the Christmas tree. Alright, so here are my pieces cut out and snipped. Now it's time to put them on the t-shirt. Okay, so here's my t-shirt. I've kind of finger pressed a seam in there. You can actually iron one if you want to. I usually start 3 fingers down from the top. So, but I'm going to start a little bit lower than that because I want room for my bow. So I'm just going to kind of put my tree down on here first and then kind of go with my bow just to make sure she's like 3 inches from the top. And then here's my trunk. Okay, I just lied to you when I said this. If you're going to do the bow, don't put the bow on top yet because you want to sew down your tree first and then you can come back and put your bow on. I should also say too, if you don't want a bow at the top of your tree, you can just leave it like this. Or you could make a star and put a star at the top. But I'm going to put a bow at the top of mine. Once you get your things spray basted, I'm going to pin mine, but make sure that you don't pin to both sides of your shirt. You only want to pin to this top layer, because if you do that, you won't be able to get into your shirt, and you don't want that, okay? So just put a few pins in it and only pin to the top layer of your shirt. Okay, once I've pinned and basted, I'm going to give you a tip. If you are not comfortable with not sewing your shirt together, the front and the back, this is what I used to do, and I still do it sometimes now, but now that I'm kind of used to it, I don't. But if you're not, flip your shirt over and grab the back only, not the front that you just pinned it to, and you're just going to take it and you're just going to scrunch it like this all the way up to the collar. And I'm going to take a piece of string or yarn or clips. You can do whatever your heart's desire is. And I'm just going to tie this together. That will keep you from sewing the front side of your shirt to the back side of your shirt. That will serve as a reminder, because you won't be able to get it caught up in there because the back of the shirt is up here. Okay, so here we are at the sewing machine. I always start at the trunk, and I start right up at the top corner, and I'm just going to try to sew over the line that you originally sewed on. Just make sure that your t-shirt is smoothed out. Okay, so here I'm back with my bow. I'm starting with my legs first. Just going to stick my needle down in there. Okay, now I'm just going to lift and I'm going to drop my needle, and now I'm going to sew. And then I'm going to snip my threads. Okay, now she's all sewed up. The only thing left is for her to be washed in the washing machine so that all of this can crinkle up. And here she is, all washed up and ragged up and beautifully done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you the next time.